What's up guys, Hobbo88 here, welcome back to iRacing, and tonight we've got something really cool. Today on iRacing, the latest piece of content was to drop just before Christmas at the end here of 2018, and that is the Chili Bowl. Something that iRacing have been teasing for us over the last 12 months since the last running of the Chili Bowl, when they scanned the track, let us all know about it, and we have been hanging out for it ever since. And here it is. It's finally been released, the first indoor track on the service, and I mean, I'm so excited. I love the Chili Bowl. It's one of my favourite races of the year, and I've been very excited about getting my hands on this track and giving it a run. In this video today, we're going to go through and preview all the dirt cars at this track, which might seem a bit strange because most dirt cars don't run here at the Chili Bowl, but of course, in iRacing, we have the ability to do that, and we're going to see how they all take to the track. I was tossing up which way to go about it, but what we're going to do is kick off with the midgets, because that's what this is all about, midgets at the Chili Bowl. And then from there, we'll go through and check out all the other cars. Thanks for all your support, guys. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, at Hobbo88, twitch.tv/Hobbo88 for live streams. I'm not streaming this today, but of course that's where I normally do my live streaming. So make sure you head over there and follow me. And of course, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. If you guys want to check out a specific car, look in the description below. I'll throw some links into times throughout the video where we try out all the different cars. But without any further ado, let's get stuck into this and load the midgets here at the Chili Bowl. Okay, here we are. So first things first, the big thing that everyone has wanted to know is, do we launch from the starting ramp up off of the outside of turn 3 on the track, or do we have an infield pit? Now we could see through some of the promotional stuff that's been released for the launch of this track that there's definitely going to have been an infield pit, because we could see the cones on the infield. However, this is where you spawn when you're launching in a test server. Now whether or not you use the starting ramp as a dummy grid for races, we don't know yet, but in a test session, here's your answer. We spawn on the infield. A little disappointing, but I mean, ultimately it doesn't really matter. I'm probably going to go ahead and launch from the starting ramp in the rest of the video in all the other cars, because for me, I think it's super cool having a starting ramp. But for the sake of the midget, let's go ahead and get stuck into this and head straight out on track. Interesting that we've got this little blue line painted around on the infield here. I don't know what the story is with that. I mean, it's almost like a driving line or something like that. It's a bit weird, but anyway. So it's a super tight little track. You can see it's extremely short and extremely pokey. The very first thing that I want to do is go ahead and roll around and take a look at this starting ramp, because I want to know whether or not you can actually even drive out here. So before we even hit the track, let's see what happens if we head out here. It's fenced off there on the left. So often in iRacing, they will not let you drive off the circuit at all. How far can we go before it doesn't let us go any further? Well, it looks like it's going to let us go all the way out here into the staging area, which is quite cool. No haulers or anything. Now, it could be my settings that cause that, but there's no haulers or anything out there in the pit area. Possibly I just have my settings turned down, graphic settings turned down, so they're not showing, but maybe that's something that only spawns during a race meet, not a test session, who knows. But here we go, we roll down the ramp and head straight out here onto the track. I can see why they wouldn't want people spawning out there and trying to turn onto the track there directly into the racing line on the entry of turn 3. But anyway, let's start winding this up. I haven't driven the midget in God knows how long on iRacing, so this will probably take me a couple of laps to get up to speed. Setup wise, I've just loaded the Chili Bowl setup, the iRacing default Chili Bowl set. Oh God, I love it. I love it so much, you guys. It's obviously going to be a thing here where the racing is quite hard to get in good, clean racing on a track like this. It's short, it's pokey, it's pretty challenging. People are going to struggle to hold their line. People are going to struggle to stay off each other. But I mean, even just for the sake of testing, it's a wholly awesome experience to be able to come out here and just cut laps on this track in a midget. Oh, we got the fence. Oh, and we are over. It was short-lived. We'll just take a little look here at the replay. That's extraordinarily cool. There we go, as we just caught the fence and folded the wheels under. Let's go back out and do a little bit more. I don't know if I like this blue line on the ground. I don't know if that's something we can turn off or not, but it's a bit fake looking. I just don't really like it. Although interesting, now that we're on the track, it's disappeared. I didn't notice that before. So it's only visible when you're coming onto the track. Not sure if I like that. I don't know if that's something that can be turned off. See if we can start getting a handle on this. So there's two lines at the Chili Bowl. Essentially, we've got 25% track wear on at the minute for this particular car. I kind of did that because I wanted to get a little bit of a slick line happening through the center, because Chili Bowl at its best provides some great side-by-side racing at multiple lines. These tiny little cars, there's two lines. There's the inside berm, which I tried to get up on top of there, didn't really work. But it's the extremely patient liners. I've just gone way too slow trying to get into it there. But the inside line will carry the left front tyre up on that berm on the inside. It's a shorter way around the track, obviously, so that makes your laps shorter. But you have to be patient to hit that line. Oh, we almost got it that time. That was better. Oh, wheelie. A big, massive bounce when we landed there off the big wheelie on the straight. We're getting there. That's a little better. Oh yeah, there it is. Now the other line is the big cushion. So we'll start seeing if we can run this slightly higher line around the top. Oh yeah! I like that high line. I mean, these tiny little cars, it is possible to run side by side around this just such a small track. I'm looking forward to seeing whether or not, when you get a good bunch together, if we can get some really awesome racing. Big slide jobs. And I'm looking forward to running some kind of Chili Bowl event. There'll be a few of them. I know there's chatter about one happening in the Australian New Zealand community. There's also chatter, not so much chatter, there's going to be one that's run through Race Spot with VLR, and that's a big one. That's going to be the big one. That's going to be the big Chili Bowl event. Big prize money up for grabs, entry fees and all that good stuff. I don't actually meet the minimum requirements for that race at the minute, but assuming that I can get my iRating up in time, I will try and run that as well, I think. Assuming that it suits for times. Obviously it's an American league, so as an Australian it may not be feasible for me to run that, but if it is, and I'm going to be free, I will try and qualify for that. And I can't wait. I'm just getting so comfortable now. The cars feel good. Fairly grippy. Not too out of control. Just starting to get a feel for the midgets again too. It's been a long time since I've driven them. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that that's a good look at the chili bowl with the midget. I can't wait to come here and do some racing, but I think that that's a pretty good little preview of what this car and this track is going to be like. I'm going to switch across now and we'll have a look at the replay of this car, cutting some of those laps from there, and then we'll come back with the Legend next and see how the Legend stacks up around this little tight track. Alrighty, here we go. The next car on the list to try. The Dirt Legend. Let's go ahead and roll that on track. Basically what we're going to do is just work our way through the cars from the slower to the faster. I guess we'll sort of work our way up through them roughly in some kind of order. But I figured that the Legend is probably the next sort of car, progressive wise, it makes sense to start with. Nice and small little car, and in a lot of ways, when I think about it, this is the sort of car that would actually, I think, make for some pretty good racing around this track. It's not too dissimilar to a Midget as far as it's small, and it is a small track, so I mean, it makes sense to run the small car on the small track. And I think that you could see some pretty interesting racing in these cars around here, so I've quietly been kind of looking forward to seeing how they go, if I'm honest. We've got the track on a pretty low usage now for these. What I've done is I've just set iRacing to automatically generate the starting track state. So we just hooked that inside berm, which in these cars is a lot more of a drama. They're very rigid. You don't really want to hit that big inside berm like that. But yeah, I've just set iRacing to dictate the track state to start, and it looks like it's picked a pretty low usage. Try and get up here and run a little bit higher on the track. They're kind of challenging to drive in some ways, these cars. They're quite rigid. They're a good learning car, because you do get a bit of a feel for what's going on, but they're one of those ones that once you lose them, you've lost them. There's not really much catching them once they're gone. A lot of fun though. Just on the baseline setup as well, which is going to be the same theme throughout this whole video. Oh, we beached it up on top of the cushion again on the inside. We're just going to be running baseline setups throughout the whole video. All I've done is I've put the shortest gear on it, which will also be a common trend, I guess. We'll just be running the shortest gears because it's such a short track. You really cannot get too close to that inside berm. This car does not like it. Yeah, you cannot touch it. I'm just sort of trying to find out the limits a little bit. And it seems like you'd really... Yeah, you can't really drive on it at all, so... I mean, we'll go back to the preferred line. Run a few laps back up here. Whoops, we just rubbed the fence. I mean, it's not too bad when you stay away from that inside berm, but when you touch it, it's bad news bears. Whoa! I feel like these could be a little bit of a handful on a slick track around here. They might be a little bit challenging. Really starting to wind it up now though. I do think that this track could provide good racing in these cars, I really do. And I'm just thinking really, like, we'll find out as we go, but the track feels fairly wide. I know it's only small, but I think you could realistically run the bigger cars around here. I was kind of thinking maybe like late models and modifieds and things like that might be a little bit too big. But I don't know, I actually think they might be alright. We'll find out when we get to them. And I also thought that maybe sprint cars would be way too fast, but I mean, we'll find out with that as well. Alright, well that's the dirt legend around Chili Bowl, and I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to racing these things around here. I think that they will provide some good racing. That's it for this part of the video. We'll take a look at the replay here for a little bit before we move on to the next car, which will be the Dirt Street Stock, right after this. Alright guys, here we go. The Dirt Street Stock is the next car on the list of those to try. And I forgot to do this with the Legend, but we're going to roll down the ramp to get this one underway. We'll take that right hand turn onto the track here at turn 3. This is going to be interesting. So I've loaded the chili bowl set. This is our first look at a slightly bigger car on this track. I mean, so far, it fits. It's not too big at all. Now, racing these things around here may be a little bit of an interesting prospect. I imagine that passing will be a bit challenging without perhaps moving the other guy out of the way. But as far as cutting laps goes, it's definitely possible. We're still running on a slight usage track here in this session. So plenty of grip, not very slick at the minute. There's the wall. Just exploring the limits a little. Actually feels quite comfortable to drive. I mean, I wasn't quite sure with this car. It's quite low powered, and I thought maybe because you're not getting up enormous amount of speed here on such a short track that it might be a little sluggish and feel a bit underpowered, but although it is quite low on power, it doesn't feel too bad. Just running it up on the inside curve a little. This car feels a lot nicer over the bump on the inside than the Legend did. I mean, around the bottom it feels like it's got enough power to pick up off the turns. It's just, but I mean, a little surprised. I actually think that they're not bad. This is probably the car that I was most worried about, to be honest. A little bit too much sideways through the corner there. Ran up over the inside berm. The car didn't mind, wasn't upset by it at all. Again. A little bit too much on the inside. Alright, we need to go back to what is really the probably preferred racing line. Starting to get a bit raggedy around the bottom. Also wasn't sure how performance would be with this track being entirely indoor as well. Lots of stuff to render. I don't have my graphics settings turned all the way up here in iRacing, but I mean, it seems to be running really quite smoothly at the minute, just with the one car on track in a test session. Maybe struggle a little once we get a few other cars out there, but it seems to be running okay at the minute for me, which is good. Across the line So that's the street stock at the Chili Bowl. I was a little skeptical about this car, but as it turns out, I was wrong to be skeptical. It's actually not bad at all. We'll make that right-hand turn off the back straight and back up the ramp. Let's check out the replay, and then we'll be back after this with the UMP Modifieds. Alright guys, here we go. The next car is the UMP Modified. I always find these cars quite awkward to drive at low speed. They handle very funny at low speed, as we see it sort of crabbing its way down the ramp out onto the track. We'll make that right-hand turn into turn 3. I'm pretty keen to see how these things go around here. There is a Chili Bowl set up for this car that iRacing has released with the car, so we've got that loaded. We'll see how it goes. But this is one of the ones I've been very interested in trying. We're up to a sort of 50-60% track usage at the minute, so it's starting to get a little slick. Already finding the wall quite a lot with the right hand side of the car. Which I feel like will just be kind of the racing line. I mean, I'm not talking much because I've got to concentrate a little bit here. These are a lot more tricky. I'm not used to having to run the brake either. But it's such a tight track, you kind of have to use a little bit of brake to get the car to stop and turn in. Looks like I'm about to learn myself a new skill. Out of necessity, really. Ran the bottom nicely there in 1 and 2, but whacked the wall hard off the exit of the turn. Really misjudged how much the car was going to get out of me. Control there off the turn, head to the outside. It's kind of weird, the track feels wide enough for the car, but then the straight feels very narrow. As soon as the thing gets sideways up off the turn, you run out of real estate very quickly. I mean, we're hitting the wall every single lap on the outside coming down the straights. part of me thinks that that's just going to be how it is. Starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with it all. And we'll try and work our way back lower on the track. Again, with the bigger car, the inside berm isn't really a problem, and then it doesn't try and spin the car out, but I'm just struggling to keep the thing off the fence, off the turn, even when I'm trying to run the bottom. It just gets so sideways and whacks the fence with the right rear. I don't feel like these things will be very easy to race around here. I mean, passing-wise, it'll be hard to pass cars. But I also feel like that's going to just be the way it is with all of the bigger cars. But I mean, you can't really run just the bottom and leave an outside groove much. To have it sort of too wide. Maybe a little. Just being a bit aggressive perhaps on the throttle, although run over the inside curb. Man, just rolling around there, we still got to the fence. It's very tight off the corner. I mean, it's loose off the corner, but it's tight in that the track is narrow. That's sort of the line you need to take. Interesting, very interesting. I mean, it's still a lot of fun to drive. What I would like to see on this track one day would be big block modifieds. Hint, hint, iRacing. Where are the big block modifieds? Anyway, I think that's going to do it there for the UMPs. The right-hand rear of this car is going to be torn up after that. Big time. I think we'll continue the trend though, and we'll come back next with the super late model and get the next and last of the big cars out of the way. So don't go anywhere, we'll be back with that right after this. Okie dokie. Super late models. These are big cars. This will be interesting. I mean, I know a lot of people have been waiting for the Chili Bowl so they can race late models here. I don't know. They seem to go alright at Gateway, so maybe they'll go alright here. Time will tell. We're on a very used track now. High track usage. I wanted to see what the track state was like when it got pretty worn out. Maybe not the best car to test it with, but anyway, we'll see. cushion's probably going to be a little narrow on top for this big long car, but we'll see what happens. There is, again, a chili bowl set for this car that iRacing have left in the setups folder, so that's what we're running, no changes. Interesting. Straight away, this car feels a lot more at home than the UMP Modified did. This actually feels like it's meant to be on this track, almost. Well, as I say that, I'll mount the inside curb enormously, like a complete noob. Just trying to see if I can get the thing to run on the bottom or not. Sort of got to manhandle it a little bit, grab it by the scruff of the neck. So bearing in mind that we've got quite a slick track on our hands here at the minute. I think that this car is actually really, really good. I wasn't quite sure. I mean, I thought maybe that this wouldn't be as good as the UMP Modified is. Or I should say, I thought maybe the UMP Modified would have been better. But I was perhaps a little underwhelmed by the UMP, but quite impressed here by the super late model. Again, I think you're certainly going to struggle to see cars passing each other on such a narrow track, but whoops. Oh yeah. It's almost therapeutic. I could just do this all day. That middle groove through the slick for a couple of laps. It just doesn't feel like it's trying to kill me off the corners like the UMP did. It seems to be a lot nicer up off the turn. It even holds the middle of the corner a lot better. So I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I think I've been perhaps a little surprised. And I'm kind of looking forward to racing the late models here now, which I didn't expect. I really thought these might be too big. Off 3 and 4 here for the last time. Well, there we go. That's the late model, and I mean, I'm really impressed. I really dig the late model. That's a lot of fun. So all we've got left now is sprint cars. We'll come back for the wingless variety first. we'll do that here just after this little look at some replay laps of the late model. I mean, I don't know what to expect about this, but here we go. 360 non-wing sprint car. We'll see what it's like. We're about to roll out on track. We've dropped the track state back to around about 20%, so we should have a bit of grip. A bottom line and a top. I mean, we're about to find out. I've called these things rocket-powered roller skates in the past. They really are off their head, these wingless sprint cars. We've gone with the lower-powered variety as well, just to give us half a chance to even be able to do a lap. Could be interesting, could be amazing, could be terrifying. We're about to find out. Let's see what the non-wing sprint car is like at the chili bowl. There is a chili bowl set up for this car as well, so we've loaded that. I mean, we're very tight at the minute. We need to remember how to drive these cars. Requires a little bit more bravery. Just need to throw them into the corner a bit more. That's better. Boy, oh boy. I mean, it's like a midget on steroids, isn't it? Come on. Just wouldn't get in. Wouldn't get into the turn there. Got tight. We are again. I mean, I suck so much at these cars, I don't ever pretend to be any good at them. That's a little better. We've done a bit of racing in them lately, the wingless sprint cars, so there's no excuse for being terrible, but I mean, every time I step into them, it takes me about 20 minutes to get up to speed and get used to driving them again. Elected to not have the ROM screen on for this car, for something a little bit different. I know you guys who watch my content regularly will be absolutely floored by the fact that I'm running a sprint car without a ROM screen. Starting to get a little bit of a rhythm happening. Thumping the inside berm, and it did not go well. Oh man, these cars, once you get it wrong, if you're not really sideways on the corner entry and you get tight, there's nothing you can do. And we're going to have to go back out again because we've broken the car now. Have a look at that line. Alright, let's not have a look at that line. Let's try this again. As you can see, the respawn from the infield pit area. I know I've been coming down the ramp to start these, but we do spawn on the infield in all the cars. Let's try all this again. Tight. Oh, we just got away with that one. It's a real art form to drive in these cars. Trying to have a look at the higher side. Oh, we're dead. Wow. I mean, I think that's going to do it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the replay. I think that's enough for the Wingless Sprint cars for me. We'll be back with the winged cars after this. So here it is, last but not least, the Big Daddy winged sprint cars, and a lot of people have been interested to see what these things are like around the Chili Bowl. Could you imagine in real life? Holy moly. 410 is the flavour that we've decided to go with, and we're around about a 40% track state, I think it was. So we should still have a little bit of grip, but it'll be starting to get slick in the middle. Chili Bowl setup loaded. Let's see what this thing is like around a pokey little track like this. Here we go. Oh dear. It's quite hard to go from a wingless sprint car to a winged sprint car. Take me a couple of laps to figure it all out again. That's not the right line. I need to put just a little bit more wing in it. It's pretty loose. Slide it back a click. Oh, better. They got a little wayward on the corner exit. That was a little bit better lap there, running the bottom. Whoa. Not a lot of time for talking in these cars. You definitely got to be thinking about what you're doing while you're driving. Especially around a track like this, there's not a lot of time to relax. Elbows are up pretty much all the time. I mean, I keep getting surprised. I really do. I never thought that the super late model would be that good, and it turned out to be really good. And I honestly didn't think that the Winged Sprintcar would be much good around here either. I thought it'd be way too fast. And I mean, sure, we're barely getting any throttle, and there's probably a lot of time to be made up with a better driver and a better setup, but I mean, these cars are really drivable. They're really drivable around here. They're not too big. They're not... I mean, they are probably way too fast, but you don't get up to speed enough for that to be an issue. You just can only go so fast, you know? You can't unload the full potential of a sprint car, sure, but I mean, you can drive them. And in a lot of ways, I think these would actually provide some good racing. It feels like there's lots of room to move. I feel like you could run side by side, throw a big slider as we go ahead and get stuck against the infield fence. I hate reversing a sprint car. I hate just starting a sprint car without a push. It feels wrong. So anyway, let's go back to what I was saying. I honestly am quite impressed by these. I really am. All in all though, I'm really just impressed with the track. It looks really good. Like, it looks so realistic, it really does. I mean, they've done a great job, they really have. They always do. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen them release anything in iRacing that I think doesn't look good. But this is pretty impressive. I'm finding this very impressive. I definitely think frame rates will be an issue once we get other cars and crowds and things like that on here with my machine. Performance is probably going to be a little bit of a drama, but once I find that balance, I can't wait. I cannot wait to get out on track and do some racing in, you know, a few of the different cars. I mean, what am I looking forward to the most is racing the Midget, because that's what it's all about. The Chili Bowl is the Midget. That's what it is. I'd love to see micros and stuff like that in iRacing and be able to do some Tulsa Shootout style stuff, but I mean, the Midget is what it's all about. So I'm looking forward to that the most, but I think that honestly think that the Legends will provide some good racing. The super late model looks like it's going to be really good fun, and even the Winged Sprintcar here, like, I'm just cruising now, keeping the wheel spin under me, getting into a bit of a rhythm, and I mean, I feel like a race in these things around here would be really good fun. I really do. As soon as you start trying to use up all that 410 cubic inches, you start to have dramas, but if you feather it and you stay smooth, they're actually really quite drivable around here. They really are. But that's it. That's our look at all the dirt cars on iRacing. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope it's given you some insights into what the Chili Bowl is like on iRacing with all the different cars. I've really enjoyed myself, I really have, and I can't wait to do more. Don't forget, guys, follow me on Twitter at Hobo88, twitch.tv/Hobo88 for the live streams. If you are wanting to sign up to iRacing and you feel like you want to support the channel, please do refer my email address. It's in the description below, along with the sign up link. If you're interested in getting involved in iRacing, I would very much appreciate that. Costs you nothing, but it does help support the channel. But that's it for the video, guys. We'll watch some replay laps here of the sprint car to round it up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. we'll see you guys in the next one.